Welcome to the March edition of the Tempo Storm Shadowverse Meta Snapshot. While there have not been any in-game changes since the previous Meta Snapshot, the meta has had time to ferment as players hone their decks and playstyle. This month, we finally see Swordcraft being knocked off the top of the podium, with a refined Evo Shadow and Burn Dragon climbing up to the top. This has caused a systemic shift in the Tier 2 space as well, as players blow the dust off Evo Rune, a deck favored against Burn Dragon. Its Runecraft sibling, Whim's Rune, a deck often used to target Hybrid Forest, is now less popular due to the decline of Hybrid Forest. Before we explore the meta in detail, remember to like and subscribe to our Tempo Strategy YouTube channel for the latest decks and strategy content. Be sure to check out the Shadowverse section at tempostorm.com for the full snapshot, as well as other Shadowverse content. Over the past week, players have refined the Evo Shadow archetype to include elements of the Last Words archetype. Wicked Rebirth, though nerfed since some time ago, still offers a lot of consistency. Deathcat Reaper and Linkstaff Necromancer are also excellent cards for closing out games. This change in composition allows Evo Shadow to once again climb up to the top spot of this month's Meta Snapshot with a comfortable power gap ahead of the other two Tier 1 decks. As Evo Shadow once again climbed in the rankings and popularity, Burn Dragon is there to combat this looming threat. This deck is simple at first glance, but with the right mulligan, it becomes surprisingly effective against a wide range of decks, giving it decent matchups across both the Tier 1 and 2 spectrum, with only a weakness against Evo Rune. Take a peek at Noir's Burn Dragon guide for the full breakdown. The meta has not been nice to Hybrid Forest in the past month, as decks have risen up to challenge its reign, causing it to drop down to the third Tier 1 deck of this month's Meta Snapshot. It is still a great deck against the Tier 2 spectrum, with the exception of Whim's Rune, which continues to ruin any combo a Forestcraft player would like to execute. Evo Rune has risen to the top of the Tier 2 list in this month's Meta Snapshot, thanks to its favorable matchup against Burn Dragon. There have not been any major changes composition-wise, and this control style deck still possesses a fair amount of healing, sporting the ability to close out games with the Fife and Parasol Witch and Odin combo. While Evo Rune is very effective against Burn Dragon and Heal Haven, it has poor matchups against Hybrid Forest and Rally Sword, making the deck somewhat situational. For a while, Swordcraft has struggled as a class on ladder. The mini expansion has given the class some powerful new tools, which resulted in a boost of popularity in the aggressive Rally Sword deck at the start of the mini expansion, though it started to wane over time. The recent meta shift in Tier 2 has once again given Rally Sword a favorable environment with positive matchups against Hybrid Forest and its Tier 2 peers, earning the deck second place in this month's Tier 2. The new iteration of Evo Shadow has a positive matchup spread against most of the meta, but has a deceptively high skill ceiling. Burn Dragon is almost as effective on ladder, and it is a lot easier to pilot. Hybrid Forest continues to be a great choice, but it is not as strong as it used to be while being more difficult to pilot compared to Evo Shadow. Rally Sword with its positive Tier 2 spectrum is a solid pick for laddering for those who missed Swordcraft, though it is unfavorable against the top 2 decks on ladder at the moment. The meta is still mutating as players continue to refine their decks and playstyles. Evo Shadow, for example, is more of a hybrid between the Evolve and Last Words package, without the use of any mini expansion additions. Similar can be said about Burn Dragon, a strong deck by its own right, made even stronger and more popular through meta changes and honing of skills. As we near the end of the Omen of Storms expansion, we do not expect too significant of a meta shift in the coming weeks. The new expansion is due at the end of the month, and with it, the rotation of the Eternal Awakening expansion. We will be seeing the departure of key cards such as Walder, Primordial Colossus, Bone Maven, and Mobilized Factory. While the classic Forestcraft bounces and artifact value generator is likely to see reprints at some point down the road, hopefully this will be enough for a significant refresh of the meta, as the current set of top decks, save Burn Dragon, have been more or less iterations of the same deck since ages ago. If the current meta is not your cup of tea, try out the new fun and exciting limited time Crosscraft format, where you can mix cards from 2 different archetypes to build extremely powerful decks. Our player and Meta Snapshot writer Hishiro will have an article on the format just in time for the in-game Grand Prix event. See you all in the next Meta Snapshot covering the meta of the next Shadowverse expansion.